From the apostles to today. Have you ever wondered how a small group of fishermen and tax collectors sparked a movement that would grow into the world's largest religion? Or how Christianity has survived centuries of persecution, division, and societal change? The story of Christianity begins with one man, Jesus of Nazareth. His teachings, miracles, and ultimate sacrifice laid the groundwork for a movement that would transcend time and geography. But after his crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension, a pressing question arose: how would his message continue? The answer lies with the apostles, his closest followers, who became the first ambassadors of the Christian faith. The apostles were an unlikely group: fishermen, a tax collector, and a zealot among them. They weren't scholars or powerful figures by societal standards. Yet, they carried forward the radical message of love, forgiveness, and salvation that Jesus had entrusted to them. Central to this effort were Peter and Paul, two towering figures whose leadership shaped the early church in profound ways. Peter, often regarded as the rock of the church, took on a pivotal role in Jerusalem. He preached with boldness, converting thousands on Pentecost and performing miracles that echoed the power of Christ. Peter's leadership was instrumental in establishing the foundational structure of the Christian community. Paul, on the other hand, was a convert whose transformation from persecutor to apostle is one of the most dramatic in history. His missionary journeys took the gospel far beyond Jewish communities into the Gentile world. Through his letters, Paul not only addressed theological debates but also provided guidance that continues to influence Christian doctrine today. However, the apostles didn't have an easy path. They faced fierce opposition from religious authorities and the Roman Empire. Stephen, one of the first deacons, became Christianity's first martyr, stoned to death for his bold declaration of faith. This marked the beginning of an era of persecution, but instead of stifling the movement, it seemed to fuel it. The apostles also navigated internal challenges. Debates about whether Gentile converts needed to follow Jewish laws, like circumcision, threatened to divide the fledgling community. The Council of Jerusalem, held around AD 50, was a turning point where these issues were addressed, setting a precedent for resolving theological disputes within the church. Despite these struggles, the apostles carried the message to the ends of the known world. Tradition tells us that Thomas ventured to India, while others spread the gospel across Europe, Africa, and Asia Minor. Their work was relentless, and their sacrifices were immense. Most met their end as martyrs. The legacy of the apostles is not just one of faith but of extraordinary courage and resilience. They turned the teachings of a single man into a movement that would endure for centuries. Through their writings, actions, and steadfast commitment, they laid the cornerstone of what would become the Christian church. Transitioning from this formative era, we move to a time when the seeds planted by the apostles began to grow and spread rapidly, often in the face of overwhelming adversity. Growth and persecution. As the apostles' teaching spread across the Roman Empire, the Christian movement began to gain momentum. By the 1st and 2nd centuries, Christianity was no longer confined to Jerusalem or the surrounding regions. It reached major cities like Antioch, Rome, and Alexandria, becoming a beacon of hope for diverse groups, slaves, women, and outcasts, seeking belonging in a harsh and divided society. But this rapid growth came at a cost. The Roman Empire, with its pantheon of gods and emphasis on emperor worship, saw Christianity as a threat to its social and political stability. Christians refused to bow to Roman idols or participate in imperial cults, leading to accusations of atheism, treason, and undermining traditional values. Persecution under Emperor Nero was among the first and most infamous instances of Roman hostility toward Christians. Following the Great Fire of Rome in AD 64, Nero blamed the Christians, using them as scapegoats to divert suspicion from himself. Accounts describe horrific punishments. Christians were burned alive, torn apart by animals in the Colosseum, or crucified. Nero's cruelty, however, only strengthened the resolve of believers and inspired many to remain steadfast in their faith, even unto death. Another period of intense persecution came under Emperor Diocletian in the late 3rd century. His great persecution aimed to eradicate Christianity entirely by destroying scriptures, closing churches, and forcing Christians to renounce their faith. Yet, despite the empire's efforts, Christianity continued to grow. One of the most remarkable aspects of this era was the rise of martyrs. Figures like Polycarp of Smyrna, a disciple of the Apostle John, became symbols of unyielding faith. When pressured to renounce Christ, Polycarp famously declared, 86 years have I served him, and he has done me no wrong. How can I blaspheme my King and Savior? Stories like his emboldened believers and drew more converts, as the unwavering commitment of the martyrs was seen as a testament to the truth of the Christian faith. This resilience was not limited to enduring persecution. The early Christians were also proactive in building communities of support and worship. House churches became safe havens where believers could gather in secret to pray, read scriptures, and partake in the Eucharist. These small, tightly knit communities not only sustained the faith but also contributed to its appeal. Christianity offered a sense of purpose and hope in a tumultuous world. Cultural and social factors also played a significant role in the spread of Christianity. The Pax Romana, a period of relative peace within the empire, allowed for safer travel and communication. Roads and trade routes connected distant cities, enabling missionaries like Paul to journey far and wide. Furthermore, the shared Greek language facilitated the dissemination of Christian teachings across diverse regions. It's important to note that Christianity's appeal extended beyond theology. The faith emphasized equality before God, transcending social and economic divisions. It offered salvation not just to the elite but to all, rich or poor, Jew or Gentile, male or female. This inclusive message struck a chord with the marginalized, contributing to the religion's exponential growth. By the end of the 3rd century, Christianity had firmly established itself as a growing force within the Roman Empire. Despite relentless persecution, the faith's followers had multiplied, and its message had begun to permeate various levels of society. This era was a testament to the resilience of the early church and its ability to thrive under unimaginable adversity. The rise of official Christianity. The 4th century marked a seismic shift in the history of Christianity. After centuries of persecution, the faith transitioned from a marginalized sect to a cornerstone of the Roman Empire. This transformation was largely influenced by one man, Emperor Constantine the Great. In AD 312, Constantine faced a defining moment at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. According to historical accounts, he experienced a vision of a cross in the sky, accompanied by the words in hoc signo vinces, "In this sign, you will conquer." Believing this to be a divine message, Constantine ordered his soldiers to paint the Christian symbol on their shields. Against overwhelming odds, he emerged victorious, attributing his success to the Christian God. The following year, Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, a decree that legalized Christianity and ended centuries of persecution. The edict granted religious tolerance across the empire, allowing Christians to worship freely and reclaim confiscated property. This marked the beginning of Christianity's ascent to prominence within Roman society. Constantine's embrace of Christianity was not merely political, it profoundly influenced the structure and development of the Church. He convened the First Council of Nicaea in AD 325, a landmark event that sought to unify Christian doctrine. The council addressed the Arian controversy, a theological dispute over the nature of Christ's divinity. Arianism, which claimed that Jesus was created by God and thus not co-eternal with him, posed a significant threat to church unity. The council ultimately rejected Arianism, affirming the doctrine of Christ's divinity in co-eternity with God the Father. This decision was enshrined in the Nicene Creed, a statement of faith that remains central to Christian worship today. Beyond resolving theological debates, the council exemplified the increasing institutionalization of Christianity, as it transitioned from an underground movement to an organized religion with imperial backing. Constantine's reign also saw the construction of monumental Christian architecture. He commissioned the building of basilicas such as Old St. Peter's in Rome and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. These structures not only served as places of worship but also symbolized the newfound legitimacy and grandeur of the Christian faith. However, Constantine's motives have been the subject of much debate. While his support undoubtedly advanced Christianity, some argue that his actions were politically expedient. Aligning with the growing Christian population provided a unifying force for an empire fraught with divisions. Regardless of his intentions, the impact of Constantine's policies was undeniable. Christianity became inextricably linked with imperial power. The consolidation of Christianity's influence continued under Emperor Theodosius I, who declared it the official religion of the Roman Empire in AD 380 through the Edict of Thessalonica. Pagan practices were outlawed, and the state began actively supporting the church. This shift fundamentally altered the relationship between church and society. What was once a persecuted faith had now become a dominant force, shaping laws, culture, and governance. However, this newfound status was not without challenges. The merging of church and state raised questions about the purity of the faith. Critics argued that the institutionalization of Christianity led to compromises in its teachings and practices. The church, now wielding political power, faced the temptation of corruption and the dilution of its original message. Despite these challenges, the period of official Christianity laid the groundwork for the religion's enduring influence. It established a legacy of theological development, architectural achievement, and cultural integration that continues to shape the Christian world. Divisions and reforms. As Christianity grew and became more deeply intertwined with political power, it inevitably encountered internal divisions that would define its development for centuries to come. By the early medieval period, the Christian world had become deeply divided along theological, cultural, and political lines. These divisions led to the formation of distinct branches of Christianity, most notably the split between the Roman Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church, and later, the rise of Protestantism. Each of these divisions had profound implications for the faith, leading to theological disputes, reforms, and the reshaping of the Church's role in society. The Great Schism, East versus West. The first major division in Christian history occurred in 1054 with the Great Schism, a theological and political rift between the Christian churches in the East and West. The Eastern Orthodox Church, centered in Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, and the Roman Catholic Church, centered in Rome, had long been drifting apart, and the schism formalized these differences. At the heart of the schism was the disagreement over papal authority. The Roman Catholic Church maintained that the Pope, as the successor of Peter, had supreme authority over all Christians. In contrast, the Eastern Orthodox Church rejected papal supremacy, instead favoring a conciliar system where decisions were made collectively by a council of bishops. This disagreement was exacerbated by cultural differences, including language, liturgy, and theology. One of the most significant theological disagreements was over the Filioque controversy. The phrase Filioque, Latin for, and the Son, was added to the Nicene Creed by the Western Church to state that the Holy Spirit proceeds from both the Father and the Son. The Eastern Church objected to this addition, arguing that it was not in line with the original text and was a theological innovation. The excommunication of the Patriarch of Constantinople and the Pope's response in 1054 solidified the schism, and the two branches of Christianity have remained separate to this day. While there have been efforts at reconciliation, the divide between Roman Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy continues to shape the Christian landscape. The rise of Protestantism. The second major division in Christianity came during the 16th century with the Protestant Reformation. The Reformation was a movement that sought to reform what many perceived as corrupt practices within the Catholic Church, particularly the sale of indulgences, the lavish lifestyles of the clergy, and the perceived excesses of the Church's power. The catalyst for the Reformation was Martin Luther, a German monk and theologian, who in 1517 nailed his 95 Theses to the door of the Wittenberg Church. In these theses, Luther condemned the practice of selling indulgences and questioned the authority of the Pope. He argued that salvation was not through the Church's rituals, but through faith alone, sola fide, and that the Bible, not the Pope, should be the final authority on matters of faith. Luther's challenge to the authority of the Catholic Church sparked a theological revolution that spread across Europe. His ideas were adopted by many others, including John Calvin and Ulrich Zwingli, who each established their own interpretations of Christian doctrine. Calvin, for example, emphasized the doctrine of predestination, which suggested that God had already chosen who would be saved and who would be damned. The Reformation led to the establishment of various Protestant denominations, including Lutheranism, Calvinism, and Anglicanism. These new branches of Christianity rejected the authority of the Pope and focused on the direct relationship between the believer and God. While the Reformation succeeded in breaking the Catholic monopoly on Christianity, it also led to religious conflict, including the 30 Years' War, which devastated much of Europe. The Protestant Reformation also led to a renewed focus on the Bible. Reformers like Luther translated the scriptures into vernacular languages, making them accessible to a wider audience. This democratization of scripture was revolutionary, empowering individuals to read and interpret the Bible for themselves, and laid the foundation for modern Protestant theology. The Catholic Counter-Reformation. In response to the challenges posed by the Protestant Reformation, the Catholic Church launched the Counter-Reformation, a movement aimed at addressing internal corruption and reaffirming the authority of the Pope and the Church. The Counter-Reformation was formalized at the Council of Trent, 1545–1563, which issued decrees clarifying Catholic doctrine, reformed clerical life, and condemned Protestant beliefs. The Catholic Church also took action to combat the spread of Protestantism through the establishment of the Jesuits, a religious order founded by Ignatius of Loyola in 1534. The Jesuits became instrumental in spreading Catholicism worldwide, particularly in the Americas and Asia. They also played a significant role in the educational and intellectual renewal of the Catholic Church. The Counter-Reformation succeeded in reasserting the power of the Catholic Church in many parts of Europe. However, the Protestant Reformation had already irrevocably changed the Christian landscape, and Europe remained divided along religious lines, with Catholicism dominating Southern Europe and Protestantism spreading across Northern Europe. The emergence of new denominations. Following the Reformation and the Counter-Reformation, Christianity continued to splinter into new denominations. These new movements often arose in response to perceived failures or excesses in both Catholicism and Protestantism. For instance, the Anabaptists rejected infant baptism and advocated for believers' baptism, while the Quakers focused on the inner light and the direct experience of God. In the United States, the religious landscape became even more diverse with the rise of evangelical movements, such as Methodism, Baptist churches, and Pentecostalism. The Second Great Awakening in the early 19th century led to a revival of religious fervor, and new denominations continued to emerge in response to the shifting cultural and social landscape. These divisions within Christianity have had lasting effects on the faith, creating a diverse tapestry of denominations, each with its own interpretations of Scripture and theology. Today, Christianity remains divided into thousands of distinct branches, each claiming to be the truest expression of the faith. The divisions within Christianity have played a significant role in shaping the modern Christian world. From the Great Schism to the Protestant Reformation, and the emergence of new denominations, these splits have influenced not only theology but also the cultural and political landscape of the world. Christianity in the modern world. Christianity has continued to evolve and adapt in the modern world, responding to shifting social, cultural, and political landscapes. From the early days of missionary efforts to the global expansion of the faith in the 19th and 20th centuries, Christianity has left an indelible mark on the history of the modern world. However, as society progresses, Christianity faces new challenges, such as secularism, religious pluralism, and technological advances. Despite these challenges, the faith remains vibrant, relevant, and influential in various parts of the world, adapting to contemporary needs while staying rooted in its ancient traditions. Global expansion and missions. The spread of Christianity beyond Europe has been one of the most significant developments in the modern era. Beginning in the Age of Exploration and continuing through the colonial period, European powers such as Spain, Portugal, and Britain used missionary activity as a tool of empire building. Christian missionaries traveled to Africa, the Americas, Asia, and the Pacific Islands, often in tandem with colonial expansion, seeking to convert indigenous populations to Christianity. The spread of Christianity during this period was not only about religious conversion but also about cultural exchange and, in many cases, the imposition of European cultural norms on native societies. Missionaries introduced Western education, medical care, and technology to many regions, leaving a lasting legacy. However, the relationship between missionary activity and colonialism is complex. While many missionaries sought to improve the lives of indigenous people, their presence often facilitated the domination and exploitation of local populations. Despite these tensions, Christianity established strong roots in various parts of the world. In Africa, for instance, Christianity quickly took hold, and today, Sub-Saharan Africa is home to one of the fastest-growing Christian populations in the world. In Latin America, Catholicism became deeply entwined with national identities, while Protestantism gained significant ground in the 19th and 20th centuries, particularly in countries like Brazil, Guatemala, and Chile. Similarly, the Protestant missionary movement in China, Korea, and Japan led to the establishment of Christian communities in East Asia. The rise of secularism and challenges to faith. While Christianity expanded globally, the rise of secularism in the modern world has presented new challenges for the faith. The Enlightenment of the 17th and 18th centuries, with its emphasis on reason, science, and individual rights, laid the groundwork for a secular worldview that questions religious authority. This intellectual movement spread rapidly throughout Europe and eventually to other parts of the world, contributing to the decline of religious influence in public life. The growth of secularism has led to a decline in church attendance and religious affiliation in many Western countries, particularly in Europe and North America. Young people, in particular, have become disillusioned with organized religion, opting for alternative spiritual practices or identifying as spiritual but not religious. The rise of materialism and consumer culture has also contributed to a shift away from religious values, as more people prioritize wealth, success, and individualism over communal religious life. As secularism spreads, it challenges traditional Christian teachings, particularly regarding issues like abortion, same-sex marriage, and gender roles. In many societies, Christianity is increasingly viewed as outdated or irrelevant, and believers often find themselves in a cultural minority. The question arises, how does Christianity maintain its relevance in a secular world that often views it with skepticism or disdain? Technological advancements and the changing nature of worship. Another challenge facing Christianity in the modern world is the rise of technology and its impact on worship and community life. The advent of the Internet, social media, and digital communication has transformed the way people connect with each other and with their faith. Church services, once confined to physical buildings, are now streamed online, allowing believers to worship from anywhere in the world. Social media platforms enable Christians to share their beliefs, connect with like-minded individuals, and engage in online Bible studies. While these technological advancements offer new opportunities for outreach and community building, they also present challenges. The digital age has led to a proliferation of online content, including a vast array of religious messages and teachings. This has made it difficult for individuals to discern which sources of information are reliable or trustworthy. Furthermore, while online worship services can provide convenience and accessibility, they cannot replicate the communal experience of physical gatherings. Many Christians argue that the digital age, while facilitating connection, has also led to a sense of isolation, with people turning to virtual communities instead of engaging in face-to-face fellowship. The rapid advancement of artificial intelligence, AI, and biotechnology has also raised ethical questions that challenge traditional Christian beliefs. For example, the development of AI and its potential to make decisions that affect human life has led to debates about the role of humanity in God's creation. Similarly, advances in genetic engineering and cloning have prompted concerns about the sanctity of life and the moral implications of manipulating human genetics. As these technologies continue to evolve, Christians must grapple with how to reconcile faith with the rapid changes brought about by modern science. Interfaith dialogue and religious pluralism. In addition to secularism and technological advancements, Christianity today must navigate a world that is increasingly diverse in terms of religious beliefs. The rise of religious pluralism, where people of different faiths live in close proximity and engage in interfaith dialogue, presents both opportunities and challenges for the Church. Christianity has long been the dominant religion in many parts of the world, but globalization has made it impossible for any one religion to dominate globally. Today, Christians must live and work alongside people of different faiths, including Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, and Jews. In some regions, this has led to religious conflict, as different religious groups compete for power and influence. In other areas, however, interfaith dialogue has become an important tool for fostering mutual understanding and cooperation. The Vatican has played a significant role in promoting interfaith dialogue, especially under the leadership of Pope John Paul II and Pope Francis. In his 2015 encyclical Laudato Si', Pope Francis called for a united effort among all religious groups to address the environmental crisis, recognizing the need for solidarity in addressing global issues such as climate change and poverty. This spirit of cooperation is essential in a world where religious communities are more interconnected than ever before. Christianity's relevance today. Despite the challenges Christianity faces in the modern world, it remains a powerful force for good. The message of love, forgiveness, and redemption continues to resonate with people of all ages, cultures, and backgrounds. In many parts of the world, Christianity is thriving, and new Christian movements, such as Pentecostalism, continue to spread rapidly in the global South. In addition, Christianity's emphasis on social justice and compassion has driven numerous charitable organizations and initiatives. Christian organizations continue to play a key role in providing education, healthcare, and humanitarian aid, particularly in impoverished regions. Christianity's global network of believers has the power to effect positive change in areas such as human rights, poverty alleviation, and environmental stewardship. While the world may seem increasingly secular and fragmented, Christianity's message of hope and redemption remains as relevant today as it has ever been. The challenge for modern Christians is to adapt to a changing world while remaining true to the core teachings of Jesus. Christianity's journey through the modern world has been marked by both triumphs and challenges. From the expansion of the faith across the globe to the struggles of maintaining relevance in a secular, technological age, the faith continues to adapt and evolve. In the next chapter, we'll reflect on the journey that Christianity has taken, how it has impacted the world, and where the faith is headed in the future. Why does it matter that we understand the history of Christianity? The answer is simple. Christianity's history offers invaluable insights into the way human beings have sought to understand the divine and make sense of the world around them. By studying this history, we gain a deeper appreciation for the diversity within the Christian tradition and the myriad ways in which the faith has been lived and expressed. Moreover, understanding Christianity's past equips us to engage meaningfully with the world today. As secularism, pluralism, and new technologies continue to shape our society, knowing the story of how Christianity adapted to similar challenges in the past can offer us valuable lessons. The Church has always been in a constant state of transformation, and it is through this ongoing evolution that it remains relevant, offering a message of hope that transcends time and culture. The story of Christianity is not just one of ancient history, it's one that continues to unfold in our own time. Understanding this history can help you appreciate the significance of the faith and the profound impact it has had on shaping the world we live in today. If you found this video insightful and thought-provoking, I encourage you to engage further. Reflect on how the lessons of Christianity's past can shape your present and future. Subscribe to our channel for more videos on history, faith, and culture, and don't forget to share this video with friends and family. Let's keep this conversation going in the comments below. Share your thoughts, insights, and any questions you may have. What would the world look like if we truly understood the power of faith across the ages? Let's find out together.